Well, hey now, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Post to Post. I'm your host with the most, The Rob from 106.1 KISS FM, here with my tag team partner in podcasting. So welcome to the show, Ramblin' Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning. Let's do this. SmackDown Live.
Boy, what a weird week it's been for SmackDown, because we're following up, I mean, probably the worst pay-per-view. This strikes me as maybe the second to worst pay-per-view ever. The worst pay-per-view in a very long time on Sunday with Battleground, which none of us spoke of favorably.
I'm not prepared to talk about it on a historic level because I don't have my facts. But I will say that as far back as I can remember, this is the worst pay-per-view on so many levels.
For those who are wondering why I refer to it as the second to worst, I don't think it comes to the same level. I think the low bar for WWE pay-per-views, I do have a knee-jerk reaction if I'm asked what was the worst pay-per-view ever.
What do you say?
And you probably, I can't imagine you would have seen this show or was even watching wrestling at the time. But December to Dismember, which was December of 2006, I believe. Now,
wait, that's an ECW pay-per-view.
It was a WWE ECW pay-per-view.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I can see why. I didn't see that one, and I can see why you would put that as a bad one.
Yeah, don't mistake it for November to Remember. It was December to Dismember. The show was so poorly executed and so poorly written that following the broadcast, my understanding is the writer of it was the first time they let Paul Heyman write a WWE pay-per-view, and it immediately resulted in his firing.
Boy, when you fire Paul Heyman that quickly.
I remember it had this awful undercard. I remember the main event was an elimination chamber that resulted in Bobby Lashley winning the title. And the pay-per-view went off, if I'm not mistaken, about 45 or 50 minutes early.
That doesn't sound like Heyman.
Remember, this was 2006. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's different. Plus, also, I mean, it doesn't sound like Heyman. Do you know, I mean, the whole story about Heyman's first pay-per-view? They couldn't run on time ever. No,
he was never good on time, but, I mean, he could write. The guy could write a compelling show. I mean, he took some serious lemons and made lemonade with ECW.
Okay, I will certainly agree with that. Heyman is a good writer, but go ahead, throw it into your network. I'm sure you have got access to December to December.
I don't want to see it. If it's anything even close to Battleground, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, but now it's 12 years later or whatever, 11 years later. It's probably going to be fun.
Listen, I had to watch Battleground twice. All right, that's lost on a lot of you. Okay, you guys watched it once. I had to watch it twice.
Hey,
I watched it once for you, and then I have to watch it for my kids. And it's tough.
Let me tell you this, at least when Heyman writes a bad pay-per-view, it's over 45 minutes early. When Road Dogg writes a bad pay-per-view, it goes 15 minutes over.
Road Dogg trending on Twitter the other day. #fire Road Dogg. That was serious business. People were upset about this show. I thought I was just being hard on it. Nobody liked it.
And then they come back on Tuesday with a killer SmackDown.
Smoking hot. I was like, my God, why couldn't this have been the pay-per-view? I think I even texted that to you.
Yeah, it's just like the pay-per-view, like the pay-per-view felt like the go-home show for the SmackDown. You know?
I mean, if you surprise everybody with Jericho at Battleground, that's a water cooler moment. But I think they wanted Khali to be the water cooler, which, dude, you know, he barely was, and what a turd.
You're exactly right. You had all this stuff happen on SmackDown. Like, why not have Jericho return night of? And, like, so let's also keep in mind, so on the pay-per-view, we got the non-finish between Nakamura and Corbin.
I was just going to say that. Why?
And then Tuesday, we get the finish. That's backwards. And then
give us the payoff at the pay-per-view. Let Nakamura take him at the pay-per-view. So you have Cena and Nakamura both winning at the pay-per-view.
So then you have AJ Styles winning at the pay-per-view. And then, you have Kevin Owens winning at the pay-per-view. And then AJ totally undoing it at the SmackDown 2 days later. Like, that's almost like undoing one of the interesting things that did happen.
The whole thing is just so weird, and they missed the mark so many times at Battleground, and then they kind of made up for it, on SmackDown Live, and it's almost like they were waiting for Battleground to get over, and that's my biggest complaint is instead of you can book for SummerSlam through Battleground, you don't have to they're not like chapter books. Where you finish, okay, so we're done with the Battleground book, put that aside. Now for the next volume, SummerSlam. No, you can have one big novel that intertwines through these pay-per-views. If you're going to have a pay-per-view every 2 weeks, you're going to have to do that. But they wanted everything to end cleanly at SummerSlam-ish, and then they move it to SmackDown Live. I think also what benefits SmackDown Live is the fact that Randy Orton wasn't on the show.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt anything. I'll tell you that much.
Can we all agree that he's one of the big reasons that SmackDown Live is a sucko fest these days?
Well, I mean, Tuesdays was pretty awesome, but yeah,
and he wasn't there
for the past 2 months. I mean, really since WrestleMania, SmackDown's been brutal, man, brutal. At least it's just like they can't get both shows going. Like only one can really get hot at once. And this week, well, I mean, like it's crazy for me to say this, but if we're talking about who won the week, Raw versus SmackDown, it's SmackDown. But if you're saying which brand won the whole week, and you factor in the SmackDown pay-per-view, I mean, I feel like that did them such a disservice. You might have to give it to the red team.
Yeah, I give it to the red team, even though SmackDown Live was better than Raw.
SmackDown was so much better.
Although I think you and I disagree on Raw in a lot of points because I really did enjoy Raw quite a bit, but there's stuff that drags on Raw that I can't abide. It's too long, and SmackDown really did knock it out of the park.
Yeah, SmackDown was nonstop.
But Battleground sucked.
Yeah, Battleground was
I can't
say
it enough. Do you think Road Dogg is going to get talked to? They're not going to fire Road Dogg. I don't know why anyone's wasting their time with that hashtag, but something clearly needs to change.
To be honest with you, Jer, I don't, and I'll tell you why. Like, Road Dogg writes the shows, and he's hit or miss, I suppose, just like any writer is, but they all get approved.
How do you feel about SmackDown's main event, or what it will look like at SummerSlam compared to Raw's?
Well, are we going on the assumption it's going to be Jinder versus Cena?
I'm starting to think that it's going to be a triple threat match.
Okay, but then I don't know how to answer that because we don't know what the match is yet.
Right. Well, what if it is Cena Jinder, and then but it's hard to top that fatal 4-way for Raw. I mean, that's pretty legit.
Yeah, that's why I really don't want it to be. I don't want a multi-man title match for Jinder's title. I don't like these multi-people matches. I think it's kind of lazy booking sometimes. It's
lazy, but I know why they do it for Brock, because I do think that, and I may go back to Brock when we do the selections and the predictions, but if they were going to have the title come off of him for a bit, they can do it without him losing. And I think that's why they do that for Brock Lesnar. Remember, when he lost the title to Seth Rollins, he wasn't the one that was pinned. He's only lost cleanly to
Goldberg.
To Goldberg and Undertaker in the last 3 or 4 years. So they'll find a way to if they want him to lose the belt, they'll have him lose the belt, but he'll lose it in a way where he doesn't actually lose, and that's what that's for. They don't need to protect Jinder Mahal like that. They're going to have Jinder Mahal take one in the middle of the ring one of these days.
Do you think they might have been worried about maybe what I feel like there's some sort of downfall to a one-on-one match with everybody involved. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think that maybe they're a little bit timid about putting Braun Strowman in a main event with Brock Lesnar when there's probably not someone there to carry that.
I think there's money to be made on that match at some point, though.
Yeah, but they have to make sure that they'll be able to perform. And, you know, they're guys that they're not bad workers, but you kind of need a leader in there with Brock and with Braun, I feel like. So that's the first thing. Just giving you different ways of looking at this Fatal 4-Way. Joe and Brock did fine last month, but it's a rematch from, you know, the last pay-per-view.
Right.
And then you've got Roman and Brock, which has also already happened. And you've got people so cold on Reigns heading into the Barclays Center that I think there's a potential for a negative backlash to all three of those opponents one-on-one with Brock.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and while I agreed with almost none of what they were saying, at one point, Wade Keller referred to Braun Strowman as one of the biggest baby faces in the company based on the pops that he gets. And it's kind of true. Going up against Roman Reigns has made him somebody that people really cheer for. And it's kind of weird. When you have Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman in a ring with Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is the only one being booed, that's got to tell you something.
Who is he with, Austin or Russo?
Who? Wade Keller?
Yeah.
It was his thing. It was him and Johnny Fairplay. It was like PW Torch or whatever.
Gotcha. Cool. Is that any good?
It's okay. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. He does like a whole review and a whole breakdown of Raw. He doesn't do as nearly as good as we do because he's not funny.
Well, I mean, he's one of the guys that is one of the he's one of the top 3 names in wrestling breaking news, I feel like.
Who are the names? Him, Meltzer, and who?
Who's the guy from the Figure 4? Give me a second, I'll think of his name.
I only know them by their nicknames that Vince Russo gives them. Meltzer Magoo, Helen Keller, and Mushmouth. Marble Mouth.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the third name that's just escaping me right now. But whatever. So that happened. There's other great things about SmackDown. You know, we had a rematch from, 2 nights before with Corbin and Nakamura. For some reason, this one's the one we get the finish on, not the pay-per-view.
Right.
I gotta tell you, something that's still really working with me. I almost feel like a mark for saying this, but Mike Kanellis, it's just, he's really working for me. Mike and Maria. And my God, I love that theme song.
I get it in a way that, like, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from because I feel like that's your Elias Sampson. I'm in on Elias Sampson, and I'm in, and a lot of people aren't, and I think that he's doing good, and I'm really in on the gimmick, and I like everything, and not a lot of people agree with me. I think you're running into that with Mike and Maria Kanellis. I don't hate it, though. I think it's interesting because it's different. I don't like the theme song at all, but whatever. We're not going to agree on everything.
80s cheese.
It's so cheese.
I just love it, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I guess the way you feel about Mike and Maria is kind of the way I feel about Elias. I'm not out on Elias, but I wouldn't say I'm in on him. So
whereas I see him and I like his look, I like his character, and I don't know if I'm to the point where I get excited when I see Elias Sampson show up on TV, but I definitely am like, okay, this should be pretty interesting television. This will be okay.
Yeah. And let's see. So there was that tag match with Dillinger and Sami Zayn and all those involved with that tag match. But I tell you, when I hear his music, I get excited. So that makes me happy. He needs to get a win at some point, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to say the SmackDown main event struck me as one of the best SmackDown matches post the draft.
That was great. That triple threat was, they could have saved that for a pay-per-view. That was good.
Or they could have put it on the one before.
It was definitely better than the AJ Styles Owens match from the night before or 2 nights before. That is for sure. But this AJ Styles Kevin Owens thing, they're pushing it. They're pushing it, man, and they're making this as long as it goes.
Which one? Owens and AJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, this, I did hear the rumor, and I think someone brought it up on the post show after the Battleground review. I did hear that, and I don't know if it's true or not, that AJ was supposed to kick out of the finish on Sunday, and he didn't. I chose to not believe it because I feel like if the ending got switched and the title changed hands errantly, it wasn't supposed to, they had such an easy opportunity to fix it and restart the match that no one would have thought twice about it. They didn't do that. They just
how would they have done that? How would you have done it?
You had all four shoulders down. I don't even know why Owens won the match.
Yeah, that was a weird finish. I wouldn't be surprised if it was accidental.
So let's, like I said, even though I chose to not believe that right now, what happened on Tuesday would really seem to reaffirm that argument that it was an accident.
Yeah, and they put it right back on AJ right away, but they didn't want to. I don't know what they didn't want to pin Owens again or something. They protected him a little bit with Chris Jericho showing up. And is that a one-off, or is he back till SummerSlam? These are questions.
I'm thinking SummerSlam and beyond, personally. That was the impression I got from his opening promo. Dude,
wasn't he supposed to go on tour with Fozzy or whatever?
I mean, but I don't know how long that was supposed to be for, and it's a cover band essentially.
Yeah, I don't love Fozzy.
Nobody does. Nobody loves Fozzy.
But people go to see the shows, and I listened to his podcast, and he was going to interview the Hardys, and I had to sit through his new single before I got to that interview, and I was in the middle of a run and couldn't fix it, and I was ticked.
Wait, say this again?
So Chris Jericho, Talk is Jericho, he had the Hardy Boys on for his podcast.
Oh.
But before he got into the interview, he was like, let's listen to Fozzy's new single, and then he played it in its entirety. And I was like, oh, come on, dude. You really got me by the balls here.
Well, you say people go to see Fozzy, but if I told you, all right, let's take a different wrestler from that era. Let's just say, hey, Jer, Juventud Guerrera is going to be singing at the bar down the street. Do you want to go?
Sure. Let's go check it out.
Exactly. He's not selling out arenas.
Juventud Guerrera, by the way, he has a DUI on his record that took place in State College, Pennsylvania.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Juventud. He got a DUI here. Fozzy was here 2 years ago. The station that you and I worked for when we first met, the new bastardized version of that brought them in, and I guess it was they expected it to be huge, and it just was not.
Fozzy?
Yeah.
That's funny. So yeah, so there's that. The impression I got from the opening promo is just that. And correct me if I'm wrong. We saw Chris Jericho. We did not see Great Khali. Correct?
We did not see the Great Khali, and we did not see Randy Orton.
These are all good things.
Well, we're gonna see those two. They're gonna fight each other at SummerSlam. I can feel it in my bones.
So there's all of that. I will tell you this. I let out when I heard Jericho's music play. It took me just a second to digest what was happening. And then I did backflips. I was so happy.
I was excited.
Yeah. I mean, nothing on the pay-per-view got me 1/10 as excited as Jericho's return on Tuesday.
This had me marking out, and it was awesome. And they've got a good main event for next week for the number one contender. But I will say this, and I might catch heat for this.
Jerry's saying something controversial.
Oh, here we go. It's a hot take. The only reason I care about Shinsuke Nakamura is because people keep telling me I'm supposed to care about that guy. I think that him versus Jinder Mahal is a mistake. So far, all I see from Shinsuke Nakamura, and I get it, I don't watch NXT regularly, and I never watch the Japan stuff. The guy's an entrance, and then a bunch of kicks. Like he's not doing it for me. And I don't think he's doing it for as many people as the inside internet wrestling community would like you to believe.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my thought on that. I do love that entrance. I do love his energy. I love his look. I love his style. I do like him, but I'm going to need to see one of these great matches I keep hearing about. And the only one that people keep waving is the Sami Zayn match on his debut 2 years ago or whatever it was.
And you and I both agreed that was not 5 stars.
That when people say that, it just pisses me off because the match was okay. That's not a great match. I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble. I know it's just an opinion, but to wave that as an example of a 5-star match or B, a great Nakamura match, man, you're not selling me on him.
Maybe if they never told me it was a 5-star match, I'd enjoy it more. If someone had said it's a really good, if someone had even said it's a 4-star match, dude, it was one of the best matches of the night. It was awesome. I'd go back and watch it, and I'd probably be like, that was a great match. That was awesome. But you tell me it's a 5-star, kind of like that Kenny Omega 5.5, 6.5 stars. Like I don't even want to watch that garbage.
Yeah, dude. I like the 6-star match that everyone talks about, but. That's neither here nor there, really.
Do you know why I can't give it 6 stars? I watched it. Do you know why I can't give it 6 stars?
Because it's not possible.
Because I don't know who it is. Because I don't know them. It goes back to like when we talk about a pay-per-view, and the success of a pay-per-view kind of also hinges not only on the performance at the pay-per-view, but how it was booked leading up to it. If I'm not emotionally invested in it, I don't give a crap. It's no difference between that and a fight between 2 dudes in the UFC that I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the ending of Scarface is really cool, but you need to have the 3 hours prior to really enjoy the story. Right.
If I show you the last 5 minutes of Sixth Sense, but you don't know what the hell's going on or who Bruce Willis was, it doesn't matter.
You just made the list.
You know what happens? You know what happens, Meltzer Magoo? when you start giving New Japan Wrestling 6 stars, you know what happens?
What?
You just made the list. I'm not even right-handed.
For myself, the Rob, and my tag team partner in podcasting, Jerry Valeri. I guess we'll be back Tuesday, unless we decide to do a topic on Monday or something. We'll figure it out.
The topic on Monday, does Randy Orton still suck? The answer is yes.
We'll see you next week on Post to Post.
Does Great Khali suck? The answer also yes.